In today's lesson, we're going to be taking a look at the Windows desktop. The current version that you're looking at right now is Windows 7, which is different than what you do have on your student computer, which is Windows XP on there. There's a lot of similarities, and we'll kind of talk a little bit about those during this video. But when you start up your computer, Windows goes through a process called booting, where it takes the computer from where it's turned off into when Windows is loaded up, and you see the desktop, which is what you see here on there. What you're currently looking at is what we call the default desktop on there with default settings. And what we look at is the very first thing that we see on here is that we see this image in the back. And what this image in the back is called, this is a wallpaper that is fully customizable. You can change that on there. You can go through some settings and change that. We won't show that during this video, but that is possible to change the background, otherwise known as the wallpaper. In Windows 7, one of the other things that you'll probably notice this is one thing that's different from XP, is that you'll see this little sidebar over here and this little thing that's up in the top here. What this is called a Gadget. It's a little mini program that either helps you out with performance, task, maybe even such things as a clock on there. This one shows my performance of my computer at this time period. But that is one thing that came around with Windows Vista, and it's stayed around till Windows 7. The next biggest thing you're probably going to notice on our desktop is all these little pictures and everything through here with little names underneath it. And what each one of these is called, these are called icons on there. These icons are representations of either programs, files, pictures, you name it. It's just kind of a visual representation of that on there. And we can see that, of course, I do have several of them on here, but some of the ones that are most commonly used on computers is, of course, this one right here, which is the computer icon, which takes you to the computer window, and also the recycling bin right here. And this is where, whenever you delete files, that's where the files go before they're permanently deleted on there. So those are the icons throughout here. You can tell that some of them is files, like this one right here, that is a file, and others are programs, similar to the ones that we're going to be using, such as Microsoft Word. Here's Microsoft Excel on there as well. The next part that we're going to be talking about is down here at the bottom, and this is the taskbar. The taskbar is the horizontal bar at the bottom of your screen. And this is what's going to be showing you the open programs that are there, and also some of the quick launch buttons that's on there as well, what they call the quick launch toolbar out of your textbook. And these are programs that you can open up with one click, whether it be Media Player, which is this one right here, or Outlook, Microsoft Outlook, the My Computer Documents folder, or Internet Explorer on there. So, and anytime you have any programs open, they're going to be shown here on the bottom of the taskbar on there. So that helps you out to know what is running, and it also allows you to switch between windows or different work areas for your open programs. Another important area that we're going to be taking a look at over here, and this is the notification area on there. Our notification area, will notice, it will automatically generally have a clock, and on version 7 it also has the date, but also has these little buttons that are here, or these little menus that you can click on them, and it gives you a little bit of a menu, but it's mostly for notifications. If something major is happening with your computer, it's going to send you some notifications. A lot of times there's a little arrow, it may point to the side for Windows Vista or Windows XP. On Windows 7 it actually pops it up, and each of these is programs that are either running, and it's kind of giving me some notifications, such as my sound, internet access, and so on and so forth with that. If you see anything that pops up there, it usually means that it's something important to take a look at on there. With Windows 7, they actually have an action center, which if anything is going on with your computer, it'll let you know about that on there. And that's the basic Windows desktop on there. Like I said, we've talked a little bit about the icons. We've talked about this is the sidebar, as they call it, with a gadget in it. On there, you can always add another gadget just by right-clicking and going to your gadgets here, and you can add in gadgets, such as a clock, calendar, or so forth on there. Um, let's now take a look a little bit at this time period. One other thing I forgot to mention there is this little button right here, and this is the Start button on there. And this actually brings up a menu of your programs and how to get access to a lot of what is on your computer, whether it be the control panel, device, and printers on there as well. But next, let's take a look at using a pointing device on there. And your pointing device is controlled by using your mouse on there. And that's going to be your mouse, trackball, touchpad, or pointing stick. You'll notice that been moving around on the screen is this little pointer that we have. You see it moving there in the shape of an arrow. Those are actually fully customizable as well. This is your default pointer. Your pointer will change at different times. Right now this is on the normal select, but it may have some other little things as you're doing items on there. Such as, if it's busy, it's probably going to turn to a circle or have an hourglass, showing that you must wait before, while the program is running. If you see an arrow with a little circle or an hourglass, it means that you can continue working with your computer, but it is busy and that there's something working in the background. If you get into any kind of program such as Word on there, I'll go ahead and open up Word here. Notice that you see the little the pointer there with a little spinning circle in my case, showing me that the window or another program is busy and the computer's response time is slower, but you can still perform other operations. In Word, you'll probably notice that this turns into what we call an I-beam pointer or a text select. And this is showing me that I can actually type, select, insert, or edit text on there. The other thing that we can actually take a look at on there is if we go into a web browser. And if I go into my web browser here, and you're probably familiar with this, is let's say for example I go to Yahoo on there. If I point to any of the hyperlinks, my pointer changes as well to this, and that's the link select pointer, and that identifies a link that you can actually click to go to a different web page, to a different point in time, or a different point in a document or a help topic on there. There's a few different tasks that you can actually do with your pointer, and that's what we're going to finish off this video today with, is talking about some of the basic pointing device techniques on there, pointing device techniques. The first thing that the book will be mentioning about is what they call pointing, and pointing is just simply moving your mouse pointer to something. For an example, if I'm going to take my mouse pointer here and point to the computer icon, I just move my mouse right over here and just point to it on there. And typically that's going to give you a quick tip, which we see on there where it says show the disk drives and hardware connected to this computer on there. So you'll be able to take a look at that on there when you point to that. The next action that's on there is a click, and you have a couple different buttons on your mouse. You have a left button and a right button. You may also have a wheel that's in the middle of your mouse. That's a scroll wheel. We're not going to talk about that one at this time, but when you see the textbook say click, we're talking about using your index finger on the mouse and clicking one time the left mouse button. And you'll notice that that actually selects the icon as I move my mouse pointer away. You see that this stays selected. And that's what clicking is. It's a quick press and release of the left mouse button, and that actually will highlight it and select it on there. The next process on there is double clicking on there. So if I would actually click on this My Computer twice, that's 2 left mouse clicks, pretty quick on there, and notice it opens up this window, and that's usually used for opening up programs on there, which we'll talk about in the next video on there. But that is quickly pressing and release the left mouse button twice. Generally to close programs, just click the close button, and there's clicking again. There's also another feature called dragging, especially useful in Word. If I am typing my sentence here, a quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. And let's say I don't want to use the word lazy. I can actually select things on there by clicking and dragging on there. I can put my mouse pointer where I want it, and I can just click and drag. And notice it highlights that word. Another part where it's useful is actually even on your desktop, and if you're wanting to select multiple of these icons, I can just click and move my mouse pointer. So it's, you click, hold down the left mouse button, and drag your mouse on there to a new location, and that's generally a way of selecting multiple items. I click to deselect those. The last basic pointing technique is actually right-clicking, and this generally brings up a pop-up box or a shortcut menu, as they refer to it in the textbook, and these brings you up some commands. So if I would just go to a blank area of my desktop and right click, notice this little menu pops open here, and this is where I can view, sort, refresh, and has all these other commands that I can actually do with this task. Depending on what you right click on depends on what the menu is. If I would right click on Google Chrome, you'll notice it's a little bit different than when I click over here, or right click over here, and that is clicking the right mouse button on there. Now at this time, just practice a little bit on there with moving your mouse pointer. Make sure that you can identify these all the objects on the desktop screen again, as far as your wallpaper, icons, gadget, notification area, toolbar, your quick launch toolbar, and also your start button. And then also make sure that you can do the task of pointing, clicking, double clicking, dragging, and right clicking. There'll be a few other mouse techniques that we will use, but we'll learn those in later lessons. So practice these, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask Mr. Irwin.